I want to say 2,400 homeless in Davidson County. I can take you down Galveston Road, Murfreesboro Road, Dickinson Road, Charlotte, and show you 2,000 on each one of those streets. Then they don't want to talk about the population of the metropolitan school kids that are in Davidson County metro schools that are homeless.
You think that there's a large number of, well, where does an individual who has children, where does his children go to school? I mean, they have to go to school somewhere.
They go to the metro public schools, but they can't give us the exact number. But we know, I know at least 2 years ago, it was estimated that we had 8,000 metropolitan public school kids that were homeless.
Well, homeless, no place to call.
And so they try to say that we have like 24, 25, they do the count. But I estimate, because I'm out here on the street, we have at least between 23 and 24,000 homeless individuals in Davidson County. And gentrification plays a part on that because sometimes we're camping our tents out where they're doing the gentrification, you know, and until we have to move, you know. It's just
There's
like,
no kind of stability in terms of your life and whatever.
Well, like I said, I'm surviving. I'm not living. I mean, this is the lowest form of poverty, and we have over 140 million people that live in poverty. But this is the lowest form when you're out on the street. Like I said, the Metro Housing Development Agency, they use the word affordable housing. They're building condos. They're not building low income. The only thing that's going to be affordable housing for me is if they arrest me because where I camp, I'm camping illegally because I'm camping on metropolitan government property. But I do pay taxes even though I'm not paying the taxes like they think by buying cigarettes or whatever. That's how I pay my taxes. So that's my property. I feel like you won't bill for me, so I'm camping on public property. So therefore, when they arrest me, they're going to send me to affordable housing, which is called a jail. And it will, our new jail will open up.
Affordable housing.
It's green light special. And they're going to open this new jail up in July. So, and then right now we're getting ready to have something very, very big and spectacular that's going to happen in Nashville called the NFL Draft. So they're going to start arresting a lot of the homeless individuals that are out here on the street because they don't want people to see that part of the so-called it city. And the thing of it is, economic advance is not the same as human progress. And that's what we need here, human progress. We need the churches to stand up and say things. We need our community leaders to stand up and say things. We need our government officials to stand up and say things. And the thing you can do on Sunday is go to church and worship a poor man. And guess what? He was homeless. And his name is Jesus. And then you ignore one Monday through Saturday.
And so the homeless population really isn't given any real opportunity to move beyond homelessness. Would you say that might be?
Well, what they do is a lot of talk. They want to act like they want to really help us, but they're not helping us at all because anytime, if you have an experience, B.B. King used to say, in order for you to sing the blues, you had to live the blues. So there's no way someone that hasn't experienced a homeless lifestyle can tell me how to live because you don't know. So if you're going to discuss something and not include us in the discussion, you're doing nothing for us at all.
So there's a lot of uncertainty in a real sense. There's no real pattern in terms of how, when you get up in the morning, you don't have any idea where you might lay your head.
Well, I do. I do. Because
I know there's a lot of ways of accommodating it,
that don't.
But the thing about it is that's a mindset that people have, that even though you might have a place, that place might not be there for you when you get there at that night.
Well, you're right.
Uncertainty in reference to it. And I would imagine that that's a real challenge just in terms of being able to live and to have any kind of social life and any kind, I mean, how does that work out?
It's no social life. And you're right. One morning I left from my tent, and it'll be a year, April the 21st, I left from my tent because I was doing a documentary called The Two Nashvilles filming. When I came back, my tent was burned to the ground. So therefore, I didn't have a place. And so, but it's really, really sad because you don't have just a place to go eat or a place to sleep, and you have to think about that. That's stress.
Okay, so what we'll do, we'll take our first commercial break, and we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. Thank you and welcome back to the final segment of the show for today. We're talking to Mr. Howard Allen, and the topic is homelessness and gentrification in Nashville. And so let's see if we can look at this last segment, Mr. Allen, and to have you to enlighten our audience in terms of some of the challenges over the next 10 minutes of being homeless. When you get up in the morning, do you have, what about taking care of your body and eating and what are some of the typical kinds of things that persons that don't have a home face once they get up out of whatever bed they're laying in at that particular moment?
Well, we have been blessed with Father Charles Strobel that does the Room in the Inn, where during the winter months from November the 1st to March 31st, the churches bring us in, and therefore that takes a big burden off a homeless individual for that night because he's able to take a shower, get up and have breakfast. But for me, I just have a system and I can't just tell you everything I do because some of it's top secret. But anyway, we have a company called, nonprofit called Shower Up. And that's a great organization where they have 2 shower trucks. They bring them on Saturday, Sundays, and Mondays downtown where you can go in and take a nice hot shower and get a change of clothes. But it's kind of hard when you can't just go down to the campus or the mission. Some people don't want to go to the mission to take a shower, so you just have to deal with that situation. But I wanted to let you know that homelessness now starts with babies because, you know, you can take my house, you can take my money, you can take my wife, and then you can run into another young lady whose husband, house, and money's been taken. But one thing you can't stop people from doing, that's having sex. And they do that in the homeless community just like they do it in the housing community. So kids are being born in homelessness. Our homelessness population is starting very high now with youth. I mean, from 18, 19, 20, 22, 24. We have a large LBGT community in the homeless population. So I don't know what's that like for some of them because that's like a double whammy because they're gay and they're homeless too. But, you know, it's just a lot of different aspects dealing with homelessness, and nobody said in the 3rd grade, said it and said, I'm gonna grow up to become homeless. It's just it's decisions happen, things happen, loss of rent, sickness, whatever can happen. And you can become without. I mean, you know, you had people that dealt with Katrina, you had people that dealt with the fire in Gatlinburg, and even though they had insurance and eventually they were gonna be rebuilt, but for that moment they were homeless. And they were dependent on a disaster relief, Red Cross or the church or whatever to help. And none of us in the homeless community are asking for a handout. We just want a hand up. And it's hard to get that because some people, homelessness scares a lot of people. Either you might pull me down where you are, and then sometimes they act like they don't see it, but you see it every day. And then you see the gentrification process happening every day.
All around the homeless.
Not just all around downtown. And I mean, you don't have your police, your nurses, your teachers, your doctors. They can't live in Davidson County because this cost of living is so high. So they're living in Wilson County, they're living in Rutherford County, they're living in Robinson County, they're living in Montgomery County because you can't afford to live here. And I can remember when Nashville was a good place to live. It was top secret, and I mean, a nice blue place. And now, man, it's got the New York, California aspect, but with the money. And it's just wrong, you know? It's just wrong. And so I think eventually things will flatten out, and the millennials, the city has turned from what it used to be to a millennial city, a police city, and a tourist city. But the millennials are eventually going to play out, and then all this stuff that they're building, eventually, I think in the next 5 to 7 years, will go from affordable housing to low-income housing. Because my father sees, he carries us, you know, he sees.
Yeah, you look at all of the construction that's built downtown, and what you're saying is that once people no longer can afford to live in these houses, what generally becomes of all of the housing?
Yeah, I think it becomes low income. But right now, this city is full of corporate greed. Corporate greed. They're putting the profit before the people, and the people are the most important weapon aspect in the city. because we are the ones that make the city run.
You think that, is there any effort, Mr. Allen, to sort of organize the homeless community? And if not, what would be some of the obstacles in terms of bringing people together and making them have a common purpose in terms of uplift?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I was kind of protected when I was growing up. I'm a 61 baby. So some of my close friends, like Howard Gentry, was like a brother to me. I was kind of protected when that civil rights stuff was going on. I remember when Kennedy, Malcolm, King, Medgar, all of them, and Robert Kennedy got killed, you know. So I was kind of protected doing that. But let me tell you, I see some of the same similarities in the homeless community as far as dealing with blacks, the black community. Two things I know. When you have a census, you never get the accurate count on an African-American family, and you never will on a homeless family either.
Why is that?
Because when we don't want to be seen, we won't be seen. And the homeless community, we walk down the alleys, we sleep under the railroad track, and we'll know when the count is coming at 2 o'clock in the morning. So we're not going to be at our camp. And African-Americans are the same way. But yeah, and we're not together just like the African-Americans.
Well, what is the purpose of trying to make an assessment in terms of the people in Nashville who are homeless? I mean, what's the purpose of that?
I'm going to tell you, the homeless community is a community that you can make money off of. Homelessness is a $1 billion industry, so it's a commodity. They talk. Now, some people actually do really want to help, but that's a $1 billion industry. So why fix that? If you were a case manager and you had 800 people that you had to put in housing, and you put 800 people in housing, what's that going to leave you after you put them in without a job? So why fix that? And it's a revolving door. People become homeless every day. People that you wouldn't think to be homeless are homeless. And I see a lot of people tell me, Howard, you don't look homeless. What does homeless look like? So I asked the question, you know? And who would you say is the most famous homeless person that you know in your life? Dr. Haney, who would you say?
I'm not sure I would know.
It'd be Jesus.
Jesus? Oh, I see what you said.
Yeah, that's how I get a lot of people. Yeah, yeah, Jesus.
Without anything.
That's right.
Anything.
Sense. That's right.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Well, how many homeless people relate to Jesus, though?
Oh, we got to get it we get that every day, especially if you're in a mission.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they come. That's how they come, the religious aspect. But let me tell you, we know them better than a lot of people because anytime, like me, for instance, I've slept in 15-degree weather, and I drink a lot of water where I was in a box. And when I woke up the next morning, I was able to break my box down. And then when I went to get my water was froze. And my body's 85% water. So that's God. It's nobody but God, and I know it. Here I am, asleep and able to get up, and then I break my campsite down, then I go back to get my water, and my water's froze.
And so now there are a large number of what you call campsites scattered throughout the city of Nashville, and et cetera. And these are at almost indiscriminate places.
That's right.
Any place that you would